Chapter 1874 After the War. As for those monsters that suddenly appeared at the end, we also know what they are. Oh, there are still so many things we know in this world, Zhang Yi said with emotion. Temple of the Earth. Shang Dawen and Guan Longhua looked at each other. Neither of them believed what Zhang Yi said.
Who is he, Zhang Yi?
Going out to pick up money is considered a loss, so why go all the way to Fremon's, only to return empty-handed? Only a fool would believe that. Shang Dawen said in a deep voice. What you said does give us some clues. Regarding the giant god that appeared over Chernobyl, he appeared from an area in the Sahara Desert. That place can be seen on the map, the Eye of the Sahara. According to our investigation, he is suspected to be the Zhulong mentioned in the legend of the classic of mountains and seas. That's an extremely dangerous existence, but fortunately, he's on the other side of the earth and won't be a threat to us for the time being. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. That's good. He rubbed his eyebrows, looking tired. You are exhausted now. You have suffered a great loss during the trip to Fremon's. Even your own shelter was destroyed. You will not accept any overseas missions in the short term. You need to have a good rest. He fully portrayed a man who is terrified and uneasy after seeing a terrible scene. Shang Dawen and Guan Longhua didn't notice anything unusual. Shang Dawen said, We know that you have made great contributions to the country. Chaos. Please provide us with some of the intelligence you obtained from the battlefield and the samples of those mechanical life forms for our research. Zhang Yi agreed readily. That's no problem. Send someone to get it later. Apart from the demon god machine, which he would keep for himself, he did not mind sharing other mechanical life form technologies with other regions. We will send you a message later. All regions can come and collect some samples. The crisis is approaching. Only by uniting together can we better cope with the upcoming challenges. There are now more than 100 million survivors of Huashu Kingdom, but this is still a huge astronomical figure. Zhang Yi understood that when the end of the world came, most of them would die. What Zhang Yi did was to try his best to help them become stronger and resist the disaster. It's up to them to decide which step to take. Shang Dawen was delighted and impressed by Zhang Yi's generosity. Thank you very much for your contribution, Chaos. I will notify all the regions immediately. Zhang Yi said, I will use it and contact them myself later. Oh well. After closing the communication channel, Guan Longhua sat on a chair with a coffee table in front of her. A wisp of fragrance floated upward like a straight line. She poured Shang Dawen a cup of tea and asked calmly, How much do you believe what he said? Shang Dawen took a sip of tea slowly before saying, Don't you realize that he is very similar to the past? Found it, Guan Longhua said calmly. More generous than before. I thought he would be stingy if I asked him to provide some mechanical life samples. A strange light flashed in Shang Dawen's eyes. That just shows one thing. His harvest in Fremon's is too huge. So much so that he doesn't mind sharing some of it with you. Putting down the teacup, he smiled and said, According to the information we got from Fremon's, he has collected tens of thousands of mechanical life forms. Among them are those demon machines with powerful combat power. Guan Longhua lowered her eyes. Those are the most valuable gains. But, according to his character, he should share them with us. Take something to exchange. Shang Dawen thought for a moment and said. Guan Longhua glanced at him and said, What can I take? Do you think Shengjing District has anything that can be presented to him now? Shang Dawen was about to refute the two, but after thinking about it briefly, he was suddenly speechless and smiled bitterly. Weapons and resources, Zhang Yi is always in need of them. In terms of strength, Zhang Yi, who has now returned from the battlefield of Fremon's, is even difficult for Ho Tu to deal with. At least one thing is certain. Shang Dawen looked up and smiled. He is patriotic. Guan Longhua said calmly. But this also shows that he has seen a more terrible disaster coming. Because when people care about the collective, it often means that they have encountered a problem that they cannot solve on their own. So they will subconsciously move towards the collective. She put down the teacup, her face serious. Let's go meet the Black Dragon again. ended communication with Shengjing region. Zhang Yi went to find Zhu Zheng again and basically used the same rhetoric he had used with Shengjing again. Of course, he also proposed to give Zhu Zheng 10 sets of mechanical life body wreckage for them to study. Zhu Zheng first expressed his concern and gratitude to Zhang Yi, but soon, he began to feel regretful again. So many things happened on the Fremon's battlefield. This should be a great opportunity. It would have been great if you could have helped take Zhu Yu there at that time. After returning, those aliens kept silent about what happened behind the light gate. After all, the details of the war between high-level aliens are confidential. Besides, it was not a glorious thing that they were tricked by Zhang Yi in the last round. Therefore, most people don't know what was posted there. Zhu Zheng, however, believed that Zhang Yi must have gained huge benefits, so there was some regret in it. Zhang Yi smiled and said, "I met Gao Changkong there." Zhu Zheng's eyes suddenly narrowed, and his expression became serious. What happened to that traitor now? He is living well and has already surpassed the Black Chariot level. Zhang Yi said lightly. But these words gave Zhu Zheng a shock comparable to a magnitude 5.0 earthquake. Gao Changkong was Zhu Zheng's biggest thorn in his side. If Zhang Yi hadn't intervened, he would have been killed by Gao Changkong. Gao Changkong is now in exile abroad, and his power is growing stronger. The more powerful he is, the more difficult it is to guarantee Zhu Zheng's life safety. Especially now that he has become a Black Chariot-level mutant, he has become a huge threat. It would have been better if those things hadn't happened in the first place. Zhang Yi said lightly. Zhu Zheng clenched his fists, veins bulging on the back of his hands. He regrets it. Zhang Yi's words hit the nail on the head. If those things had not happened in the beginning, he would have taken Gao Changkong in as his confidant. How powerful should the Jiangnan region be at this time? Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in the world. Zhang Yi, I want to ask you for a favor. Zhu Zheng said in a soft voice. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and said with a half-smile, "You want to help you kill Gao Changkong?" Now Zhu Zheng has someone else to turn to for help. Zhang Yi. In the entire Huashu country, how many people are there who can surely kill Gao Changkong? Zhu Zheng nodded. This person is our pity. He is very talented, but unfortunately his skills are not good enough. Keeping him will sooner or later become a huge threat to our Huashu country. Therefore, on behalf of the entire Jiangnan region, I beg you to solve this problem. Does it represent the Gangnam region? Zhang Yi was non-committal. Is Gao Changkong a bad guy? Zhang Yi thinks that when the world collapses, it is not easy for people to distinguish between good and evil. It's just that we have the same stance. Both he and Gao Changkong were bloodthirsty by nature, killing innocent people indiscriminately. Zhang Yi killed people to save his own life. Gao Changkong was after revenge and change. Zhu Zheng kept talking about righteousness, saying that he represented the Jiangnan region, but was he afraid of death? That guy is very cautious. After he enters the bishop level, he will never dare to appear in front of you again. And they always step into the territory of Brahmanism to provoke the Tianlong tribe. It's very difficult to kill him. Although this was a euphemism for excuse, it was also a lie. Even for Zhang Yi now, it is absurd to want to go to Bharata alone and fight against such a huge country alone. Zhu Zheng said desperately, "You have returned from Fremons. Your strength should have been greatly improved. I beg you to hunt him down, but if there is a chance in the future, you must help me with this, okay? You know, I haven't had a good night's sleep for a long time. I woke up from my sleep countless times, dreaming of that scene, and the ending was that I was killed by him in my dream." Zhang Yi said calmly, "If I have the chance, I will kill him. Thanks." Zhu Zheng breathed a sigh of relief. Zhang Yi shrugged his shoulders. If Gao Changkong violated his interests, he would certainly kill him. On the contrary, he will also do things that are difficult and pleasing. Zhu Zheng was really panicked. Otherwise, why would he make such a practical request, knowing Zhang Yi's character so well? It's like a drowning person desperately grabbing a life-saving straw. Then, Zhu Zheng asked about Fremons' incident. Zhang Yi briefly recounted the story, and Zhu Zheng focused on asking how much mechanical civilization technology Zhang Yi had mastered. Zhang Yi said, "That is really very advanced high technology. We are still researching it, but once we have cracked a part of it, our mechanical technology has made great progress. Send someone over to get some and study it slowly." This is a lie. Liu Karen, who stepped into the Ypsilon domain, could dismantle the demon god-level machines with his void transformation, and the so-called core secrets had been cracked more than 30 times. However, he couldn't reveal everything. Just as Zhu Zheng was also wary of him. They can be united externally, but they also compete with each other internally. You should not have the intention to harm others, but you must be on guard against others. Don't think too highly of others. But even so, Zhu Zheng was already full of gratitude. This time he didn't do anything but got some research on mechanical life forms. What's the point of a bicycle? After ending the call, Zhang Yi continued to contact other people. Zhu Zheng closed the call interface stood in front of S floor-to-ceiling window, and looked at the cold steel forest like Blizzard City with complicated eyes. He knew that Zhang Yi must have hidden a lot of things, and the mechanical life forms given to him were only a very small part of Zhang Yi's harvest. But what can he do? As Zhang Yi became stronger and stronger, he was completely unable to check and balance Zhang Yi. Even his proud goddaughter Zhu Yu, because of his concerns for Gao Chongkong, did not dare to let her leave Blizzard City and go to Fremons to participate in the execution of the mission. Gao Chongkong is the deepest thorn in his heart. If he reveals any flaws, they might appear in Blizzard City and take his head. Thinking of this, Zhu Zheng quickly looked behind him. Sitting on a sofa was a clean young girl. Her skin was incredibly white, as if she was a doll taken out of a factory mold, and her long hair hung down behind her like seaweed. She sat there quietly drinking milk, but when he saw her, Zhu Zheng's inner tension suddenly disappeared a lot. A smile appeared on his face. Fortunately, he still has Zhu Yu. As long as he has a daughter with unlimited potential, he doesn't have to worry about Gao Chongkong. Even one day in the future, he could reverse the status between him and Zhang Yi. Zhu Zheng walked quickly to Zhu Yu, looked at her kindly and said, "Xiao Yu, you must stay by your father's side. If I leave you, I really don't know how I will live." Zhu Yu raised his head and looked at Zhu Zheng. His dark eyes sparkled like black gemstones. "But, Dad, the food is getting worse and worse. I want to go out and see if I can find more delicious food." She wrinkled her nose. "I heard that the place Zhang Yi went to has a lot of delicious food. It would be great if I could go there." Zhu Zheng clenched his fists behind his back, but the kindness on his face remained unchanged. "It's my fault. I should have let Xiao Yu eat well. But don't worry, Xiao Yu. Better ingredients will be delivered soon." His eyes glanced at the desk beside him, on which lay a stack of documents, which Lan Xinqing had delivered this morning. The population of Blizzard City is now as high as 3 million. With Blizzard City as the center, 15 satellite cities were built in the surrounding areas, with a population of about 5 million. After years of hard work, more than 80% of the population in the entire Jiangnan region is concentrated in this core urban area. This was achieved thanks to Zhu Zheng's efforts. The content of the report is the number of abnormal creatures that appeared in the entire city from yesterday noon until this morning. Although I don't know what happened, the more anomalies like this, the better. Zhu Zheng narrowed his eyes. He said calmly, "Let Xinqing in." As soon as he finished speaking, the door was opened, and the intelligent system immediately notified Lan Xinqing outside the door to open the door for him. Lan Xinqing walked into the office and saluted. "Zhu Shuai." Zhu Zheng said to him, "Gather all the new mutants in Blizzard City. Train them well. For Blizzard City, don't be stingy with resources. I will let them grow at the fastest speed." Lan Xinqing. "Yes, Zhu Shuai." The first person to communicate was Alexei, the thunder god of Fremons. In Fremons, Zhang Yi only has this one person who can be considered a friend. The first choice is to find Malana or Bathaja. The former is more likely to give him a bad face because of the previous incident, while the latter will be sarcastic. It took a while for the call to be connected. Alexei's simple and honest bearded face appeared in front of Zhang Yi. Some noisy sounds could still be heard in my ears, and Alexei's expression seemed a little serious. This is also inevitable. After all, the battlefield was within Fremons, and when such a drastic change occurred, the aliens from other countries could escape, but they were in constant fear. Zhang Yi also quickly revealed a worried and solemn expression. Alexei, how is things going over there? Alexei stared at Zhang Yi with a strange look in his eyes. After we came back, Morana, who is usually taciturn, called you by your name more than 100 times. Bastard. Zhang Yi said stubbornly. So what? Morana is really something. She has no grace at all. I helped her deal with King Arthur's gang as planned, but she didn't even say thank you to me, and she even scolded me. Oh, it's so hard to do it well. Zhang Yi let out a long sigh. Alexei's facial muscles twitched noticeably a few times. Fortunately, the sacrificial spirit you trapped wasn't ours. Otherwise, with her personality, she would have chased after you and fought you to the death. Zhang Yi touched his nose and asked, Can you tell me what happened over there after I left? At that time, Zhang Yi was seriously injured and had no time to care about other things. He just wanted to escape back to his hometown to recuperate and cut off all contact with the outside world. So he had no idea what happened later. Alexei looked behind him and moved a few steps to the side. Faintly, one could hear a cold female voice shouting something like chaos and bastard. But maybe Zhang Yi heard it wrong. He is such a kind person. Who would scold him? Alexei said, After you left, a huge monster suddenly appeared in the sky of Chernobyl. For knights from the world behind the light gate were fighting him. We didn't see the battle clearly, but at the end we saw 4 knights disappear, and that black devil-like being had the knight's weapon stabbed all over his body and fled away with serious injuries. Today I heard that the guy came from the Sahara Desert in northern Africa, a place called the Devil's Eye. I really don't know how we'll survive if we face such an existence in the future. Damn. It feels like the extinction of mankind is inevitable. Alexei talked a lot today. He has not yet recovered from the shock of that incident. Soon, he lowered his voice and said solemnly, But right now, we have no time to take care of him, because no one knows when Yichigel will return. His strength is already strong, and after obtaining the treasure of the god-level civilization, it is even more unimaginable. We have already started the bunker plan. Like those underground civilizations, we will hide underground. We hope to avoid this disaster. Zhang Yi looked worried, but he secretly said sorry in his heart. Although he knew that Ichigal was dead, he could not tell Alexei the truth in order to protect his secret. Alexei immediately said to him, Yes, we have already swept the battlefield. We have obtained a large number of mechanical life forms, which will be the cornerstone of our bunker construction in the future. But we didn't gain much from the last battle. The demon armor is still alive, and he has been waiting in Chernobyl for Ichigal's return. So we dare not approach him to clean up the battlefield. We have collected tens of thousands of mechanical life forms so far. According to the agreement with various countries, 3,000 of them will be given to you.
Zhang Yi was a little shocked.
It's true that money is not life. Even at this time, he still didn't forget to clean up the battlefield. Zhang Yi said, You just need to transport these to Xinjiang district later, and I will send someone to pick them up. These materials are no longer that valuable to him. But he had to do it, otherwise it would easily arouse other people's suspicion. The more they gain, the more stingy they act, as if they have gained nothing. Zhang Yi exchanged a few words with Alexei, and he also mentioned, if Alexei feels that Fremons is unsafe, he can consider coming to Huashu Kingdom. At least it is relatively safe here for now. However, this proposal was politely declined by Alexei, who was unwilling to leave his homeland. Zhang Yi expressed understanding and respect. After ending the call with Alexei, Zhang Yi looked through the message list again. After excluding some unimportant small countries and unfamiliar foreign countries, he decided to send a message to Brian. After all, it was agreed that he would be rewarded for forming a team after the matter was over. The call was quickly connected, and the white Labrador dog's head in the video was directly in front of the camera, and its black nose seemed to poke Zhang Yi's face. Honestly, bro, are you okay? Oh, you seem to be fine. Brian appears to have returned to Colombia, and the background is a laboratory. Zhang Yi heard that Brian was actually the product of an experiment by a mad scientist. God knows what kind of monster can turn a dog into a bishop-level alien dog. Just survive. This trial is too crazy. Brian stared at Zhang Yi, curiously listening to what happened next. You see, people all over the world are really curious about the subsequent story. So Zhang Yi was able to pretend to be sad for the first time and tell Yang Xinxin the story she had made up. Brian gritted his teeth and said regretfully, "Damn, it was almost successful."
Oh, God.
If that crazy guy gets the legacy of the god-level civilization, I wonder what kind of trouble we will face. Hey, I'm worried about this too. Zhang Yi sighed and said, "Yes, there is something I want to ask you, if you can help me with." Zhang Yi took the opportunity to make his own request. The world is becoming more and more dangerous. I think humans will be extinct at any time. So, does Colombia have a space program? For example, alien immigration? Decades ago, didn't you have a rich man named Elon Freeman who wanted to colonize Mars? Do you understand what I mean? If Mars has really built a base suitable for human survival, it would be absolutely good news for him. However, it is too risky to go there blindly, so you have to look at the experiences of the pioneers.